So I'm Roger with my Campfire Tales. My turn again for another story this week. And it reminds me of a time, I was going to go out elk hunting in the fall. I had a place all picked out. There's a place called the Colocum, which is eastern Washington. It's along the Columbia River. Oh, it's maybe the spot I had kind of picked out that I wanted to scout for elk. I'd seen a big herd there in the past. It was about, maybe 5-10 miles north of Interstate 90, right on the west side of Columbia River. So I drove back in this old bumpy logging road about as far as the road would take me, and I had a spot. I'd been there chucker hunting in the past, and I kind of knew the area a little bit. So I had this hill picked out that I wanted to set up tent, camp on, and that where I could look out in the morning and see the Columbia River out of one side, and scan down some of the ravines and stuff, and see if I could spot the elk from my tent, so I didn't have to be doing a lot of running around and all that. So anyway, I kind of had this little hillside picked out in the back of my mind, so I get over there and drive in. I couldn't drive right up to it. I had to park maybe a mile away or so just because of the terrain, and so I packed my my tent and gear, camera, and binoculars, all that stuff back in there, and set up tent, and where I could see the river and all that, and it was getting towards dusk, and so I made myself something good to eat, took out the sleeping bag, and decided, well, I'm going to have at it. Just might as well get some shut eye, and I'll do my scouting early in the morning. So, long about a little bit later, a couple hours after I went to sleep, man, I woke up and I had this just funny feeling, just something's not right here. I either hearing some noises or something. And so I had brought, a little flashlight, in with me, and I had it right next to me. So I grabbed the flashlight and I shine it towards the tent opening, that I had crawled in on, and had two sets of eyes, four eyes start staring at me from rattlesnakes. And holy Christ, this is, there's two of them, and they're between me and the tent flap. And I'd left the tent flap open on purpose because I wanted to see the river in the morning, and never even dawned on me that something might crawl in like that. So now what do I do? I'm just wow, I don't want to mess with those snakes. So I reached in my pocket. I had a pocket knife with me, and I decided, well, I'm going to crawl out the back way. So I cut a hole in the back of the tent and just kind of slithered, started sliding out the back. My boots were right next to the tent flap, and the rattlesnakes were between me and my boots too, so I couldn't take them. So I just, kind of slid out cut the hole in the back of my tent, and slid out the back, and just grabbed my wallet and flashlight and car keys and all that stuff, and decided, well, I'm just gonna hike off to the car. And man, these rocks were sharp on your feet. That was not easy walking. But as soon as I started walking, I hear rattle, rattle, rattle. And I turned on the flashlight. God, there's snake eyes everywhere. I mean, there must have been a dozen of those darn things. I think I must have pitched the tent on a rattlesnake den or something. I mean, they were everywhere. And so I'm saying, oh, geez, I hope I don't step on one with bare feet and all that stuff. So, I just kind of picked my way, I used the flashlight and picked my way carefully. It must have taken me 2 hours to, get back to the car, barefooted and all that stuff. And I decided, well, I'm not coming back in the morning, to get my tent. I'll leave that. I'm just leaving it there. So, that being said, if you're ever out hunting in the Colocum and you see a tent kind of pitched, sitting out there on the top of a hill, overlooking the river and stuff, and you can have the tent, you can have my sleeping bag, you can have all the stuff, but I really like those boots. Those were my favorite pair of boots. So if you don't mind, if you find it, save the boots, but make sure you dump them out. I don't want to mess with those rattlesnakes again. That's kind of scary stuff. So Anyway, that's my story. We hope that you enjoyed this week's telling of Campfire Tales. Please remember to hit subscribe to make sure that you get the announcements for next week's upcoming activities, as well as the new topics for the Campfire Tales. Please also share the fun that we have here and let your friends know about our website. Check out RogersOutdoorChannel.org for more information and to stay connected. If you like the outdoors, great to enjoy this site.